Hey guys, it's Fifi here and welcome back to the Aeroteam channel. So in today's video I've got a tutorial on how to build Dusty Crophopper from the Planes movie. So obviously this is a fictional character so it can't exactly match a build scale, but it will roughly match up with other 1.5 to 1 scales. And since it's a small build it requires quite a bit of detail. It does use quite a bit of wool edit and make use of our texture pack, but I will show alternatives how to build a version in default which still looks pretty good. So before we begin, the plane is 11 blocks long and the wingspan is 15 blocks. So let's build this assuming that the frontmost block of the plane is in line with this yellow here. And let's place 2 blocks up so that there's a 2 block gap between the plane and the floor, and then build 1 block back. Then you'll place 6 of these white wall blocks in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then another 3 of an orange block. Here I'm using the warped wart block because it matches the texture of the stairs and slabs, but you could use any orange block. Then once you place these 3 in a row, place another 3 vertically at the end so that you have this 3x3 L shape. If you're using the default texture pack, instead of the white wall and purple slabs, you can just use something like smooth quartz. Now if we go to the front of the plane, let's take a birch trapdoor, which you can see in our texture pack is also retextured to white. In default you can use iron, and place that at the bottom of the first block. Then take your purple slabs, which again are white wall, and place 6 of them in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 1 more trapdoor at the end. And then this final block at the back here is where the rear landing gear goes. So we have a head database plugin on the server, so I'm going to search for a wheel head. But if you do not have access to a head like that, I suggest you just use a wither skull, as it's also black. So place 1 temporary block at the bottom, and then simply place your head above. We cannot make the strut as there's no block space here for a lever or anything. And then let's complete the top of the fuselage. So in our texture pack we do not have an orange trapdoor. Instead we've made a 3D model for the power rails, which I'll show you how to use now. And then in default, of course, you could use an acacia door. And then the warp trapdoor as well has been retextured to blue. In default, that is still your best option. So on the middle block of the tail here, just simply place down a warp trapdoor and close it. And then for the back here, for the orange trapdoor, we'll have to use some mold edits. So I suggest you place a temporary block there, and then take any item from your inventory and mouse over it in your hotbar. And then type this in chat, /repl0. Now, any block that you click with that tool will be empowered onto that tool, and then you can right click and switch blocks like that. So to make the trapdoor texture, place just any block like this, take your powered rail and place 1 on the side and 2 above so that the textures connect like this. Then take your replace tool, left click on this texture that's facing vertically, and then right click on your temporary block like so. And now we'll use this replace tool trick a few more times. So on the front side of the tail here, we want to use a white wall, which in our texture pack is on mossy cobblestone. In default, you could use diorite. If you don't have wall edit, I'd suggest you just use a solid block. So let's make a temporary block solution here. Place this T shape with walls and build it too high so that we get this block state in the middle here. Then let's left click that with our replace tool. Place a temporary block here to form a triangle, and then right click. So as you can see, this wall is a bit wider than a slab, a vertical slab, but less so than a full block, so it helps with the angle. And then above that, we want to place a dead horn coral fan, which you can see has this orange texture in our texture pack. And then we'll place some oak buttons on the side of this wall to add a little bit more detail. So again, I suggest you place 2 temporary blocks, and then place an oak button on each of them. Use a replace tool to pick up those buttons and replace your temporary block, and repeat on each side. And then lastly for the tail, we'll take a warped sign and place it on the middle orange block like so, for the blue stripes of his livery. And then we'll use the replace tool again soon for pistons, which are quite important for this build. But before we do that, let's place 1 more of those powered rail trapdoors in front of the white block here. And then we'll place a temporary block here, which I'll come back to. And then take an orange stair, which is on the smooth sandstone stair. Place it like this, facing towards the front of the plane. then take an iron door and place it 1 block in front. For now, we'll keep it 2 blocks high, but we will do some mold edits on it later. If you are in default, I suggest you just place an iron trapdoor like so that it's only 1 block high, but still the same texture. And then in front of this door, take your orange slabs again, place 2 in a line, and then on this final white block, you must take your powered rail trapdoors again, and place like so. Then on top of this red temporary block from earlier, take a orange candle and place it on top. This is a nice block for the tip of an antenna. Then we'll use the replace tool in a second again, but first let's correct this iron door. So we want to replace this top block of the iron door with a bottom orange slab. So as per usual, place down your temporary block, left click it with your replace tool, and then right click on the top of the iron door to place like so. And the reason we're using this iron door here is because this grid texture vaguely resembles eyes, which are pretty much impossible to do in any other way. And then we'll do some piston-based trickery to make the base of this antenna. So if you place an upside down piston like so, and then power it temporarily with redstone, you can see that the piston will extend. And then we'll use our replace tool to select the extended part of the piston, and then right click your temporary block here. And as you can see, it makes a very nice antenna block, and it's also vaguely an orange color, so it matches the rest of the build. So if you do not have access to World Edit, you cannot do any of that. So my suggestion for this antenna would be to take your orange stairs and an acacia fence, and rather do something simply like this. It won't look as good, but it gets the job done. And then to build the propellers on the front of the plane, we'll also use this piston technique. But before that, let's place our temporary block, and then take a nether brick fence, which is black in our texture pack, and a dark oak fence, which is the closest fence to black. If you're in default, just use dark oak for all of it. And then you place one of your fences above this red block, and then below place a gate and open it so that it's facing inwards towards the rest of the plane. Then on the side of it, place one fence each to make this like triangular propeller look. And then again, we'll use some World Edit trickery to add some buttons to represent the yellow tips. If you're in default or if you don't have World Edit, there's no way around this. So place temporary blocks on each side of these fences. Then on the top one, I'm going to place an oak button on the bottom, and then highlight that and replace the temporary block. For the propellers on the bottom, we want to place an oak button on the top of a block, and use that to replace our 2 temporary blocks. And now for this temporary block in the middle where the propellers connect to the motor, we're going to use a piston base. So you can recreate the setup from earlier, but instead of using the extended wooden parts, we're going to use the stone part. So again, you left click it with your replace tool, and right click on this temporary block. Like so, it replaces it. If you don't have World Edits, as I've mentioned several times, you can just use, I'd suggest double stacking some stone slabs, like so. It looks close enough. And then to finish off the fuselage, get yourself a black button, which is on the blackstone button, and then another one of the birch white trapdoors, and then a dead brain coral fan, which again has that vertical slabbery texture on our texture pack, and finally a warped door. Now the warped door, as usual, will use the replace tool, and it's quite difficult to do, so you'll have to bear with me. And then finally get an acacia trapdoor and the warp signs as we used earlier. So on the front block of the plane, place down one blackstone button. Now this represents that skull that he has on his livery. And then by its side, place a birch trapdoor vertically. And then 2 of your coral fans, like so. You can see that they have a vertical slab texture. Then next to it, we'll skip a block for now and come back to it. Then in line with the piston, place down an acacia trapdoor, which you can see is textured to this black bricks. If you're in default, I think use dark oak is probably close enough. And then on the side of the trapdoors, just place down your warped sign. Now the reason we're coming back to the warped trapdoor is that it has a similar slab texture like this, but it's blue, but it only has one orientation where that texture stays blue. So I suggest you face east and place the door down closest to you, like so. And then again, you'll use your replace tools to select the bottom half of it, place a temporary block in the middle here, and then right click like so. And then to finish off his face, we'll once again use the replace tool. So place a temporary block on this gap here, and then we'll use our powered rails again to make a vertical texture. So place a temporary block here, and place these two rails in a row so that one of the models conforms to this vertical texture. Left click that with your replace tool, and then right click to replace the temporary block. Again, use acacia trapdoors if you don't have access to this texture pack. Now to work on the wings, you'll need 3 slab colors, your white one, a medium blue one, so mossy stone in our texture pack, or probably warp or prismarine in defaults, and then your orange slab. Additionally, you also need your orange stair. And then come to this first vertical slab you placed here, and place down one smooth sandstone slab, your orange one, and then place a temporary block, which we'll skip for now. Then move one layer up and place 3 slabs in a row like so. And then for the second layer, by your first block, place down one blue slab, and then 2 white slabs in a row, and then move up your layer and complete the wing like so. And then to work on the landing gear, you can take a grindstone and place it beneath this temporary block, and make sure that it's this orientation so it looks like a wheel. And then this temporary block will replace with a stair. So if you do not have access to world edit, I suggest you just place the stair like so. But if you do have world edit or replace tooling, we're going to once again use the replace tool. Make this corner here so that only one quadrant is on the second level, and use that to replace your temporary block. Then on the side of this wheel, take a jungle sign which has this white texture. In default, you could use birch or maybe just acacia so that it matches the rest of the color profile. And then that is the main landing gear complete. And then lastly, to work on the tip tanks, this is optional, as in some parts of the movie he does not have them. But this again will use a lot of replace tooling, but there is a workaround if you do not have world edit. So let's start by taking an acacia fence and placing one on the outside of each wingtip, like so, so that you have the 2 blocks in the middle available. Then if you are just building in vanilla or no world edit, then I'd suggest you just place 2 stairs at the end with matching colors, with both orange. But if you have access to a replace tool, we're going to use a granite wall. So again, place 2 temporary blocks over here like so, and then we'll go down and work on a wall texture. So you want to place this L-shaped version, and then additionally, you need to get a debug stick. So if you're on a server with the Essentials plugin, you type /i debug_stick. If you don't have the Essentials plugin, I believe it's /give@p debug stick. And then you want to left click on this block and cycle through all the options until you get to the one that says up. And then once you're at up, you right click that and it gets rid of the post in the middle. Then take your replace tool again, left click that middle T-shaped block and replace your 2 temporary blocks. And then sometimes these wall textures, these gate textures update, sometimes they do not. But in Minecraft, if you place fences next to walls, they actually lower in elevation. So if you do not have the lowered version of the gate, you want to replace all those again so that they're in line with the middle of the wall here. Then finally on the rear tip, he has a little streak. So we're just going to place a black button here. And again, we'll use the replace tool, like so. And that is this half of the plane complete. So you will have to mirror this. If you have world edit, that's very simple. You select a region starting from the middle of the plane, in your second corner, so that it contains the entire plane. And then you stand in the middle, type //copy, then face the opposite direction, //flip, and then //paste -a. And that is the plane flipped. If you do not have world edit, you will have to build both sides by hand. And if you remember from these warp trapdoors, there's only one orientation that has the blue texture. So when you flip it, the door changes orientation and gets this green one. So again, you'll just have to face east with the door, and sorry, other way, face west with the door, and place it on the closest part of the block, and once again use your replace tool. Now I forgot to mention it earlier, but if you are not using the texture pack, you can, instead of using these vertical slabs, you can use a blue glass pane and a white glass pane and do something like this. Right away. Then once you've flipped it, that is the entire build complete. And then lastly, to build the horizontal stabilizers, which I forgot, must take a warp trap door and place 2 of them in the back here, just below this white wall. So now that we've finished the build, I'd like to thank you very much for watching the entire video, and feel free to use this design wherever you like, just please provide the proper credit. Make sure to check the description of the video for all necessary links to our texture pack download, our Discord, etc. And make sure to share the final build with us when you complete.